Download Festival, and it's gone quiet. Lamb of God have faded into the distance.
Indeed.
And we've come across two gentlemen who, I don't know why they're here, but they're still not playing, and that's Evile. Why are you here?
Playing air guitar.
Well, we got airdropped from Finland. We played a gig with Sonata Arctica a couple of days ago, and we ended up getting airdropped and landed here. Conveniently.
Yeah. So it is the festival season. There's a lot of the bands here today are doing 2-3 festivals a weekend. Do you get involved in that?
Well, we're a bit quiet this summer, aren't we, really, in terms of festivals?
We've just been doing like mainland Europe, Finland, Scandinavia, doing Germany and Spain soon.
We've got the mighty Bloodstock,
yes, yeah.
Which is like going home for us. We love it there. So
we've played the UK a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're saying like, oh, fuck the UK, but we just like want to play our shows instead of like overdo it, and people are like, oh god, Evile again, you know.
We could be guilty of being, saturating the UK. So, well, I remember when you started, you were a young thrash band. You started out at the time. Earache Records, who signed you, had 2 or 3 thrash bands, and you went like on a little thrash tour and things like that.
That's right.
You really have come a long way since then, I think.
Yeah, you have to mature and grow up at some point. When we did the first albums, we were all like really young and dead naive about the entire industry. Now we've like been weathered a little bit, getting out with some really big bands. You kind of do things a little bit differently the older you get. That's all we've done, really. I
think for me personally, I think for everyone, what happened with Mike, it made us sit back and think, look, are we in this for serious, or is it a hobby that we'll probably give up in a few years? And the decision is, it's serious. So let's take the songs seriously and the writing seriously. So like, oh yeah, thrash. We love thrash, but we want to explore. We've got a lot of writing in us, and just playing 100 miles an hour all the time is a bit limiting for us. So we just try different things.
So what happened with Mike? Very unfortunate, but it actually made you. It was more than just that. It actually made you revisit where you were as a band and what you should be doing.
As a person, I think it. Like when you're on tour, you think you're invincible. It's like, yeah, we're on tour, but you don't ever think. And when it does, like. It sounds odd, but you have to have been there to know like how confusing that is.
There's nothing that gets your brain working like a life-changing event like that, and it makes you reevaluate everything in your life to the point of, is this for me? Yeah. And the answer was yeah, because otherwise everything that we did with Mike would be completely just rinsed down the pan, and everything that I'd wanted since I was like 5 years old, that'd be betraying my own like wants, and I could never imagine me doing anything else other than playing drums in Evile. So
it was a bizarre one, because like everyone loses people, and losing him was hard, but being in a band with someone who you're close to, it was like doubly a double step back, like shit. So I had to reevaluate really, and we did, and that's what happened with Serpents Tooth really.
And of course Joel's come into the band, he's fitted in well, but is it in effect a different band than it was before?
Yeah, it is, but it's different in a positive way. It's not different in a derogatory way at all. Joel has a completely different mindset to how Mike used to think. Mike was so much into like the old school way of thinking, like thrash, and he was into like Creator, Sodom, Destruction, old German thrash band, stuff like that. Joel's from like a classic rock background, and he brings a different element of writing, different style of playing, but he's still got the same presence on stage that Mike had. He's still in it 100%. He's loving every second of being on stage, and he's such a nice guy to be around. And we couldn't ask for anything else, because we're just normal guys from Huddersfield at the end of the day. We're not like rock stars, and if we had a guy who could play bass like, the best bassist in the universe, he wouldn't suit us. Don't get me wrong, Joel's a fantastic bassist. He's brilliant, and he just fits with us so well,
So is part of the almost new direction that you're taking, or slightly different direction anyway, is that down to Joel coming in?
I think he has a lot to do with the feel of the album. It's a lot more, I wouldn't say groove orientated, but it's a lot more, it challenges slower tempos, and I wouldn't say that's on purpose, it's just that's how it clicked. Like when we were writing as 4 people in rehearsal room, it just felt right what we were doing, and I think to deny that mood would just be dishonest, and we just did what felt right.
But then you might think that a band like yourselves, as you say, has gone through that big shock, would want to move on and almost put it behind you, but you haven't, because you just got the new single out, which is In Memoriam. Yeah. So you're obviously still remembering that.
I think the thing with In Memoriam was we needed a track to convey the mood of everything that we felt when Mike passed. And then Joel joining the band, it was like such a harsh negative to such a good positive feel within such a short space of time. There was like 3 months before we got back on the road, if that. And everything that we had in our heads, like turning around every time we went out on stage with Joel, like thinking about Mike not being there and all that kind of stuff. At some point you have to put that down on paper to get it out of your head, and I think that's what In Memoriam is. That's us being so completely honest about the feelings and emotions we had about Mike moving forward with Joel. And that anyone who misconceives that song as us selling out and being something that we're not is completely missing the point. It's the most honest thing I think we'll ever do in our career, and we needed to get it out of our system.
But does it now enable you to draw a line? I mean, I'm not saying draw a line in terms of forgetting, but draw a line moving on.
Yeah, I think it does. At some point you need to say, gone, this is the future, let's move on. And we've tried so hard to have that mentality to drive us to, bigger and better things. That's why Five Serpents Teeth came around. But that being said, it's always in the back of our mind, and I think now that In Memoriam's out, that might alleviate some of the, not negativity, but some of the hurt that's still there somewhere, But also at the same time, it's a really positive thing for us because it's completely different to anything we've ever done. So it might open us up to a new audience that might never have actually heard Evile and go, actually, I like this track, what else have they done? And they might go backwards, and like I did with Metallica,
Well, the album Five Serpents Teeth came out about September last year. If I remember, I got a copy thrust into my pocket at Bloodstock, I think.
Oh, sorry about that.
But, how has it been received by the fans? How have they seen it as Evile moving forward? And how's it been received, say, in Europe?
With every album, you always lose fans and gain new ones. And I think this album, more than anything we've ever done, we've lost some of the people that really want pure thrash. Some people have always said, why have you changed your sound from Enter the Grave? And for me, if you don't change your sound and try new things, then a band will never progress. You've got to look forwards. You can't just look at your past. You can't just rehash the same album and play everything 100 miles an hour all the time. That's not fair on us as musicians. We want to try new stuff, and if it doesn't work, then at least we've done it and it's out of our system. It's a weird one. I think Five Serpents Teeth, we tried some completely new stuff. Maybe simplified things maybe a little too much, but in turn that works.
Do you think the whole album has worked? Is there something in there you'd do differently this next time, or?
Of course it worked.
There says the producer.
It says the engineer.
It was 100% perfect for what we wanted then, and that's all I can say really. When you're making an album, you don't finish it until you're 100% certain of it.
Don't forget there was that one missing crash cymbal.
There's one missing crash cymbal that it's not missing, it's just I would have liked it to be there. Okay, 99.99% complete album.
Have you had a strong word with your drummer about that?
It wasn't his fault. It was just my post opinion about them.
So you listened to the album and said, there's something missing?
In actual fact, I went to hit the cymbal and he moved it. Just out of reach.
Changed my mind.
The action was there, the intent was there, but the symbol wasn't.
But with the technology in studios these days, surely you can spend thousands to go back in the studio to put one cymbal back in.
We could, but we can't be arsed.
Yeah, but we'll do that on the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Well, because there's the other thing, because once you fall out with your record label and you lose the property of your record, and therefore you've got to remake it again to get round all the copyright issues. You can put it in then.
Could do.
and the 420 billion kick drums that I didn't play. Honest.
Anyway,
we're digressing now.
Yeah, well, we got interrupted, didn't we?
Interrupt more.
Russ, we're a bit short of chairs, so I don't know whether.
I don't need no. It's all right. I'm just a bit short, so I don't need a chair.
Russ, come and join us.
Come and sit on All's lap, and then hopefully the chair won't collapse. We'll be joined by Russ Russell, producer extraordinaire.
Thank you very much.
One of whom's products was Five Serpents Teeth. Napalm Death, I believe, is another of yours. Is that right?
Yes, well, several of them. Several of Napalm Death. I was responsible for.
Irresponsible for.
Yes, absolutely.
When you get a band like Evile in the studio, they are different from some of the other bands you do. Do you have to sort of mentally change gear? I'm going to produce this one this way, I'm going to produce that one that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Every single project is different. Even the two Evile albums were different. but we had a completely different relationship on the second album because there was no like honeymoon period, getting to know each other kind of thing. So the second album, we just all jumped straight in. We didn't even have to discuss a lot of stuff. It was just, you know, we all knew what we were doing, and it was really, really easy. And
we discussed how the content was different between the two albums, but the production was also different, was it?
Well, yeah, I mean, we went for a bit more simplicity in some ways, but a bit more hard-edged as well. I think certain elements of it were cleaner and sharper, but at the same time, it was also heavier, which, you know, it's a good combination, really.
Yeah.
And as we're all playing Happy Families here, I got the album last September, which means you must have recorded it sort of April time, I suppose, last year.
April, May, yeah.
Is it too early to be thinking about the next one, or
No, we're already. Yeah, they haven't actually asked me if I want to do it, but
we told him he is.
As you're sitting on his lap, that might be a
yeah.
Like a mannequin, and you've got your arm up his back somewhere, like.
Yes. I definitely want to do the next Evile album.
Really, Russ?
Yes.
So no, I mean, you presumably started writing some tunes?
All's a riff machine. He's getting so many riffs down and recorded just in case.
I'd say I've got about 12 songs on the go at the moment that we're going to start getting together with each other and just jamming them and building the next album, really.
So you put a few riffs together, you put them down on a tape or on a recorder of some sort, and then you bring the other lads in to fill them out?
Pretty much. It's just because I don't want to be a guy that writes a song and says, this is our new song. I want to write the skeleton or the idea and then say, let's do this song from this seed.
I think the hardest thing for us in terms of songwriting is I dabble a little bit on guitar, but I'm not articulate enough to portray what I've got in my head to all. And when we're in the songwriting period, it's really, really good to have him around because he drags that out of you. He can understand what I've got in my head without me needing to play it fully because I'm not that competent.
So you can say, well, what if we did so and so, and you can pick up.
That's right. Yeah, I'll have ideas about stuff, and All's the one that'll play it. And if it sounds rubbish, then it's out of my head and it's gone, and that's good. We've sorted that issue out. Matt's completely different. He's got so many different melodic ideas for vocals and stuff that sometimes it's completely contradictory to what All's got in his head vocally. So as a democracy, it works really, really well because we explore everything we can possibly do with a song until we all four of us agree and go, yeah, that's the right one, let's do it this way. But then we get in the studio and Russ will say, actually, halve this bit, put this bit in twice, do this, you know, he'll produce it and make it polished.
That was going to be my question, because all obviously starts the process going.
Yeah.
The rest of you finish the song off. Do you take Russ a finished product, or do you still really? Is it still really a work in progress?
Never even finished till it's done. I guess even when we're recording it, there's always.
It's usually pretty much a whole finished song, you know, when we start, but quite often it ends up pretty different. You know, even sometimes up until the last minute of a mix, you know, the last second before you hit the final record button for the final mix.
And so then you're like...
Suddenly I'll go, no, let's cut the intro in half. Or, you know, and sometimes, most of the time we agree, sometimes we argue about it, but I'm always end up right in the end.
Do you ever have... Do you have... the early versions of a song, do you sometimes finish a song off and then you go back and listen to the very first effort and just see how different it is?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I quite often piece together the original demos in the same order as the final album and compare the two. And we always do the right thing.
I remember one time you pressed record to do the mix of a final song, and as we were listening to it record, we were like, that bit's too long. Yeah. So like, stop, redo it.
Let's re-record the entire thing.
Yeah.
Good. So the next album then, we want a double CD, so you've got like the outtakes doing.
There's plenty of those.
Oh yeah.
From me especially.
Yeah.
But they're not drum outtakes, they're just vocal outtakes.
We keep his vocal. It's really funny, actually.
Why are you laughing when you talk about his vocal?
Well, obviously he doesn't sing, apart from like sort of gang vocal stuff. But when he's drumming, if there might be a moment where he slips up, we get a really nice run of fuck, shit, bollocks, bastard,
Instant Tourette's.
Yeah.
Instant Tourette's. Yeah, it is.
I keep all those pieces, and when we finish recording the drums, I put them all end to end, and we listen to it, and it
That
just
in
goes
itself
fuck,
is
fuck,
an
shit,
awesome
shit,
bonus
bollocks,
track,
whack,
isn't it?
piss, bastard.
And it's quite a long piece, I imagine.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you have a great time when you're recording. You obviously have a great time when you're on stage.
That's why we didn't ask Russ to do the next album. We've told him he's doing it, because the relationship we've got is, for us, it's perfect. We wouldn't want anyone else to do it.
Did you get the chance to say no?
No, and I wouldn't. Not even for a second. Not even for a second. It really is such a good time, isn't it?
It is.
Well, that's good, and that's what makes a good album. If everyone's enjoyed putting it together, whether it be the band, whether it be the producer, whatever, if everyone's enjoyed making it, that makes it a good album.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you can hear that in music, even if it is aggressive music.
Definitely.
We're not going for a jolly, happy vibe on the album, but if people are really enjoying themselves and they're really into what they're doing, it really comes across on the album. I really feel that.
And do you, as a producer, I mean, you produce many bands, or have done. Do you find that's true? I mean, the Evile album obviously works because everyone enjoyed it. You must have had albums that you really didn't like doing, and did they end up not being a good album?
I've had it work. I've had it work both ways, really. I mean, sometimes a bit of angst and a bit of aggression and falling out in the studio can be a positive thing. In certain kinds of music, certain bands, you get that extra, But I've had some disastrous moments where the band end up fighting with each other and throwing things at me, and I throw things at them. And
I think when you're in the studio in such a close proximity to your bandmates for so long while you're recording, I think it's completely derogatory if you had any kind of negative vibe and you fall out, because it just stagnates and you can't move on from it. And like Russ said, you can hear it. It's like doing a show with a frown on your face. The crowd can feed off that, and they can tell if you're having a bad time or a good time on stage. And if you can put all the positives into your recording, it does come across, I think. And who wants to fight with your bandmates in a studio when you're doing the most important thing of your career? It's not right.
The other thing that seems odd to me about the recording process, or unnatural about the recording process, is when you're playing a live gig, you're playing together as a team. You're a band, you're a team, you're all playing your parts at the same time.
Yeah.
When you're recording, you're playing them separately. I mean, you may be in the studio 2 or 3 days before All does his bit, and how does that work in terms of a team effort?
Yeah, but to start with, the band always play the song together before we start recording.
You do like a live recording?
Yeah. Get them all to play together, make sure the vibe's there, make sure everyone's clicking and everyone's happy with what's going on. Rehearse, if we're making any structure changes, make sure everybody gets familiar with it and so everyone's comfortable and everyone's on the same page.
In pre-production, I think you've got to treat it like a gig, and you've got to treat the songs as if you're playing them live to get the vibe of how you think they're going to go over when you actually do start playing them live. You've got to preempt yourself in a way. And that preemptiveness, when you get to the studio, it makes everything run so much smoother, because when you get to that heavy bit with the toms and like loads of bass in there, the crowd's going to work off that live. But you also know when you get in the studio, it's going to be tight as hell, because it's re-rehearsed. I don't know how to articulate what I mean.
No. So what you're saying is,
but you can imagine in your head, even if you're playing drums on your own with nobody else. You can already imagine it in your head what it's going to be like, because you have played it together.
That's it.
I think what clinches it is if we really enjoy it, being fans of music and going to gigs, we know if we're going to enjoy it to the point of people will enjoy it at the same time. That's it. If we click and get that bit's so good for us, we know that
enjoy it. We hope other fans. Yeah, we hope fans will enjoy it.
If they're like, this album will sell really well and get played on the radio, we won't want to do it because we won't like it. So, except for a few songs. No.
Good. Well, you obviously do enjoy doing it. We enjoy listening to it. I hope you enjoyed the download experience, even though you're not playing. And we'll see you. We'll see you at Bloodstock. Yeah?
See you at Bloodstock.
See you there.
Woo!
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.